I lost 70 pounds back in 2020, and since then I've been maintaining my weight loss and continuing to build muscle and just focus on my health. And one of the hardest things about that journey has definitely been staying motivated throughout it. Throughout the weight loss and the maintenance portions of my journey, I've needed to stay motivated to stick to healthy habits, and I really did find that it was a challenge at times. So today I'm sharing 10 things that have helped me to stay motivated throughout my weight loss and also maintenance journey, and just the things that I do to keep myself on track when it is really tough too. If you enjoy this video or find it helpful, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right in with tip number one, which is to do it for the right reasons. And I talk about this a lot on my channel, but it really is so important to do it for the right reasons, because you aren't going to have the motivation or the discipline to stick with it if you don't actually have a reason to. And what I mean by this is kind of having a why for why you are deciding to make these changes for your health and your future. And what I mean by that is just finding your why, your reasoning for why you want to actually make a change. And for me in the past, it was always because I just cared what other people thought. It was for external validation, and that was never a good reason. It was never enough to actually keep me motivated, and that's why I never had success in the past. This time around, I knew I had to find a why that will actually make me stick to it, because I actually care about it, and it's something that will actually keep me motivated when I don't feel like sticking to the plan. For me this time around, my why became my health and my future. I saw a quote, and I talk about this quote a lot on my channel, but it was, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. And the night that I saw that quote was the night that I decided I needed to make a change. I was honestly already starting to live in fear that my health was deteriorating. I was really struggling at work, and even just noticing things like my toes going numb throughout the day and getting lightheaded or out of breath and winded when I just went up or down stairs. Things that I never really experienced in the past, I was starting to feel, and it was really freaking me out and making me think I needed to make a change. My reason for making a change became my health and my future and just wanting to feel better. And because I actually wanted those things, I cared about those things, I didn't really care enough about what people thought about me to make these changes in the past, and that was never enough for me to stick to it. But I cared about my health and my future, and because of it, I was actually able to stick to it. And to this day, I'm still able to stick to my healthy habits because I know that I want a longer, healthier future, and I want to avoid different diseases or illnesses that I could get by neglecting my health. I started to just really think about how much harder it was when I neglected my health and how much harder I was making things on myself, and realized that my reason for sticking to it was going to be my future and health. So it's just really important to find something that's actually going to motivate you, even if it is someone else in your life and you want to be around longer for them, whether it's kids or family or something like that. If that's what your why is and it's enough of a reason that you care about, it will help you to stay motivated in those times that you're really struggling. The next thing that I do to stay motivated is use others for inspiration. And I mean this online and in real life. And I kind of mentioned this in a past video where I mentioned hard truths about weight loss, that you can definitely use people online, influencers, people who share fitness and recipes and all those different things. You can look at their life and their content and take it with a grain of salt and use it for inspiration, use it to get ideas and motivation. But you don't want to overuse it and think that you have to do everything by the book the way that they did, and you don't want to compare yourself to those people. So there really is a fine line and a balance to find when it comes to consuming content online and consuming content for the purpose of motivation. You can use others for motivation online, just make sure that you are remembering that you need to find what works for you as well. And there are so many great resources online that are positive and helpful and everything, and so I definitely recommend that, but just keep that in mind when it comes to staying motivated, because it can be more discouraging if you start comparing yourself to someone else and then not having the same results, or you start doing exactly what they're doing and again not getting the results that they're saying they're getting, and it just gets really messy and discouraging when it's too by the book, looking at what someone else is doing. Take it with a grain of salt, use some meals and recipes and all those things. Even when I share my what I eat in a week videos, I share the different like macros and points and stuff, but I don't want anyone just eating exactly what I do, because it probably won't work for you. Everybody's body's different, our activity levels, everything like that is different. I more so post those as inspiration to show how to build meals that have more protein and veggies and use 0 point foods on Weight Watchers. And I like to just give some inspiration of the different variety I like to have in that way. So take it with a grain of salt. But then the other part of this I want to mention is using other people in real life as motivation and inspiration. So for me personally, when I go to the gym gym and I see older people working out, it is way more motivating to me than when I see people my age because, again, my reason for doing this is health and longevity. And when I see them and they're working hard and moving and their joints are moving and they're strong and they're putting in the work, it motivates me more than I can even explain because I just picture myself years from now and I want to be doing the same thing. I want to be prioritizing my health because I know how important it is to have muscle and strong bones and joints and all of those things. So I see people in real life and I use them as motivation a lot, honestly. Actually, the other day there was this man at the gym who he always has a cane and he's really consistent. He still is there all the time doing different exercises. He's on the bike, he's on equipment, he's doing things all the time. And for years, he's really been motivating to me, honestly, because I see him doing these things while he is using a cane. And to me, in my head, then I'm thinking like, I really don't have an excuse either. Like on the days that I'm struggling, in a positive way, I use him as motivation because I'm like, he's awesome. He's there working hard, even though he's got other things thrown at him. And I might not have to deal with those things that he's dealing with. So it just kind of motivates me in a positive way though, not like a negative, like I need to do it because he's doing it. More so just like, wow, he's doing it so I can put in the work too. And actually the other day he came in and he also had a neck brace on. And so we were getting paper towels at the same time. And I just told him how much he motivates me because I see him in there still working so hard through everything. And it was crazy because he said that I've been motivating him for years. I've been going there. We've just been seeing each other for years work out at the same time, but never talked to each other or anything. And he just said that seeing my consistency and me work hard inspires him. And it really caught me off guard. It felt really good, honestly, but also it felt good to just tell him that he's been my motivation and just to like hear the compliment returned was really nice. But anyway, the point of that is just using others in real life when you see they're still dealing with hardships and different challenges, but they're putting in the work to prioritize their health because really that is one of the most important things that we need to take care of. That's been something really inspiring and motivating to me is using people online and people that I might not know for inspiration, but also people in my day-to-day life. Even when I see people walking around my neighborhood, I actually now where we moved, we live in a much older community and I liked that. I kind of chose that on purpose because it just feels much more calming. What I love about it though is that I see people out walking all the time and they're much older, but they're still out walking and I can see how much it actually benefits them at their age to go out and walk and you can still see that they're really in great shape because of it. So that's another thing that motivates me. Like I'll be coming home and seeing them out walking and I'm like, okay, I need to just go get my steps in for the day because it's like a positive motivating thing for me. So anyway, use people around you for inspiration and motivation throughout your journey, but not too much. Don't compare or anything. Use it in a positive way. Okay, the third thing that I do to stay motivated throughout my weight loss and maintenance is celebrating the little things and the small wins. And what I mean by that is, first of all, one thing that I've done, and I started it over a year ago, but I really was just like struggling at the time to get up in the morning. I don't know. I was just having a hard time. I think part of it was the cold weather. I just didn't have any motivation to do anything and I was feeling really down. And I started to really just focus on the little things every day that brought me joy. It didn't seem like much. It would even be just like a food item or something or some event that happened that day or going and thrifting and finding something. Like it was little things like that. But I started making these posts on Instagram that were just small things that made me happy this week. And I think just overall practicing gratitude and being grateful for the little things really does just shift your mindset to be more positive, which makes things more motivating and makes it just a little bit easier to be motivated each day. But I started doing these posts where I really focused on all the little things that made me happy throughout the week. And then doing this, I just started to think about it more throughout the week because I would be thinking like, what will I do for my post this week? And it really made me realize all the little things throughout the day that keep me going and keep me happy and bring joy to my life. And focusing on those things really did make my mindset a little more positive when I was feeling burnout or when I was just feeling down and didn't have motivation, because sometimes I just kind of go through a funk like that, or we go through phases, we deal with things and challenges and stuff. And through those hard times, and actually that was right around when we were wanting to move, we were feeling really just like snug in our house and overcrowded, and we just needed to figure that out. And that was right before we decided to start moving that I started that. So it was just an overwhelming time that I took a step back and kind of focused on the little things, the small things, and it really helped me. And also part of that when it comes to specifically like weight loss is focusing on the little wins throughout your journey. So whether it's a non-scale victory, an NSV, if you put on a pair of shorts that fits better now, or I even remember years ago during the peak of my weight loss, I had a belt that I found that I used to wear all the time to work. I couldn't even loop it through the hole because it was so much bigger on me then. And so little things like that gave me a lot of motivation as well. Even just getting excited for my weekly weigh-ins. Even when I started my weight loss journey, I had good success in the first couple weeks, but it really did did taper off, and some weeks I would only have like 0.1, 0.2 of a loss, and I would still get really excited for that because any loss was a step in the right direction with what my goals were. So I just celebrated the little things throughout the journey, and that has really helped to keep me motivated. And it doesn't have to be on the scale. I know I just mentioned that being something that kept me motivated. You can do non-scale victories, you can do weigh-in victories, you can do whatever is going to motivate you. Don't fixate on one, but it is important to just find little things to be happy about and to be proud of throughout your journey. Okay, tip number 4 is a really important one because it really is hard to stay consistent, and for years and years I have worked hard to stay consistent with my healthy habits, but the biggest reason that I really have been able to stick with it is because I've made my lifestyle the way that I want it. I've made it enjoyable, and I've adapted habits that I actually look forward to instead of dread. Make it a lifestyle that you enjoy. Make it a lifestyle of things that you can actually do without dreading and that you want to do. And what I mean by that is when it comes to physical activity, I never enjoyed doing burpees. I never enjoyed going on runs, even though in 2016 I would force myself to go on runs every night after I got off work at Potbelly. And it was probably just doing more damage to me because I was already so stressed and just eating so poorly. And then I would force myself after a 12-hour shift to go run a couple miles at night, and it was just not good on my body. I was forcing myself to do things that I dreaded. It was really, really unhealthy and really made me lack so much motivation because I never wanted to do the stuff. But what I've learned is to do the things that I want to do. Maybe those are physical activities I don't enjoy, but that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy any physical activity. There are some things that I do like doing, like rollerblading and like lifting weights at the gym. And now even going for walks I do every single day, and it's something that's been really helpful for me. So finding things that I actually look forward to and that I can stick to each day. It's even to the point with rollerblading where it like feels like a reward. I was actually making a joke about it where I feel like a kid at recess because I will have like a really busy day of cookie orders, and I will be trying so hard to get it done in time so that I can fit my skate in. And once I get to go do my skate, I feel like I'm going out to recess or something. Like it feels like it's just a fun break from everything, and it's also exercise. It also gets me moving and helps me to hit my goals. It doesn't have to be miserable. It doesn't have to be restrictive. That also applies to meals and foods that you're eating. You don't have to cut out all the foods you like and only eat foods you don't enjoy, because then what are the chances that you're actually going to stay consistent eating them all the time? So if I'm just having like plain chicken breast every single day that I don't enjoy, I am not going to look forward to it. It's going to be so much harder every night when I have to go in the kitchen and make my chicken breast. Instead, I have found so many other ways to make meals the way that I want them. I love eating meals in the style of a bowl, so I make bowls all the time, and that way I can incorporate a bunch of veggies and proteins and then still have cheeses and sauces and all the things that I enjoy in moderation. Make it a lifestyle you enjoy. Find foods that you look forward to, movement that you look forward to, and just make it something that you don't dread, because in the past I would always do that, and then there is no way I was going to have any motivation to actually stick to it. Okay, the next tip to stay motivated on your weight loss and maintenance journey is to be realistic, especially when it comes to goals and things like that. First of all, setting realistic time frames. So I feel like for me, a month was always perfect when it came to measuring consistency. And I talk about rewarding myself for consistency, but I would always do it a month at a time. And I felt like that was a realistic chunk of time that I could stick to. But even more so, just realistic goals. When I started my weight loss journey, I said that I wanted to get down to 170 pounds. I haven't seen that number on the scale since high school, and the only reason I said it is because it was the number on my license that I guess I never had changed. Still haven't hit that weight. When I was at the peak of my weight loss, I got down to 180 and realized that this was probably the healthiest for me, somewhere around here, but any less, I was gonna be pretty restrictive, and I didn't want to do that because I wanted this to be a sustainable lifestyle, and I didn't want every day to be super restrictive just in order to maintain a body that I didn't really care that much about having if it wasn't like the healthiest version of myself. Instead of focusing on that number, because that's what I thought was gonna be realistic for me, I started to switch up my goals, and especially when I started weightlifting, realized that maybe the scale isn't how I'm gonna measure my progress throughout this. And it's still something I do. I weigh in maybe 2 to 3 times a month just to make sure I'm right on track and right around the same area. But really, I don't measure my progress with the scale anymore because it just wasn't realistic to keep losing weight and get down to that number. I've seen it before, but the saying that maybe your dream body isn't your healthiest body, and I really had to learn that because I thought that my dream body was 170 pounds, and that just wasn't true. It doesn't matter that much when it comes to the scale and everything like that, but just having realistic goals for yourself And not striving for perfection all the time, but instead just focusing on consistency is much more sustainable and realistic in the long run. So instead of setting myself up for failure, I started to be more realistic with the goals and what I wanted to achieve. And even more so, I started to focus on what I could control, like tracking every single day for a month and stuff like that. Whereas I can't really control what the scale does. Be realistic with your goals and with the progress that you're making. Realize that, like I said, maybe your goal weight or your dream body isn't the healthiest weight or healthiest body for you. Okay, tip number 6 to staying motivated is to give yourself rest and relax when you need it. And this is just to avoid burnout because it's something that I honestly struggle with. I have a hard time taking rest a lot of the time. Even when it comes to vacation and just taking days off, I really like to stay busy. That's just always been how I am. But because of it, it can lead to burnout, which really will tank your motivation. I feel like it just makes things go so opposite for me. So I do have to find time to give myself rest. I really like to take full advantage of vacations. We don't really go on many, but when we do, I don't track. And I really just try to enjoy myself. But I still have my healthy habits I stick to because they make me feel better. Maybe I still have my apple a day and I focus on drinking water, like those types of things. But I don't overwork myself about staying on track with tracking and stuff like that. So I give myself the time to relax and reset when I need it. Honestly, I've been feeling like I need that right now and I need to kind of just figure out a way to do that, but it's something that I still struggle with, like I said. It's something that can really help you to stay motivated is giving yourself some rest here and there and listening to your body when you need it, because if you hit burnout, it will really negatively impact your motivation. Okay, the next thing that I do, I mentioned a little bit, but it's rewarding yourself. This is something that it can be very little, but again, if it gives you a little motivation, do it, because it's something that I did throughout my journey that kept me going, and all I really did was track my progress and reward myself when I stayed consistent. I talk about it a lot, but when I first started in April 2020, I said if I track for 30 days, I'm gonna buy myself a foot massager that I've had my eye on. And to be honest, I didn't really think I was going to do it. I just kind of like set it in my mind. I screenshotted the foot massager and I was ready to go. I started Weight Watchers that night and I started tracking. And within the first week, I felt so much better that it just made it a little bit easier to actually stay consistent with tracking. So at the end of the 30 days, I had tracked every single day and my main focus was just that. But because I was doing that and staying within my points and stuff, I actually lost a good amount of weight in the first month. And because I did that, no matter how much weight I lost, because I just stayed consistent, I still got my reward. Even though I wasn't focusing on the amount of weight I lost, I still lost a good chunk of it because I was so focused on tracking and staying consistent. And then it didn't really feel like it. It didn't feel like I had all this pressure of making sure the scale set a certain number by those 30 days being up. But instead, I just went through, tracked every day, and then I got the reward. And rewarding myself with little things along the way with that, when it came to my weight loss, I did like dyeing my hair, I got some new workout clothes, I got roller skates, different things like that really kept me motivated throughout the peak of my weight loss. But it's something that I've also continued throughout my maintenance to keep myself motivated. And I'll just focus on maybe like one little thing, whether it's like stretching every day for a month or making sure I focus on my water, getting 10,000 steps a day. Like I'll do some little things like that. And then if I do them for that time, again, something I can control, then I'll reward myself and go thrifting and get some new clothes or something like that. Or just something little that can give me a little boost of motivation and make me feel good for actually sticking to it. It sounds so basic and almost like childish, like giving a reward for doing something, but honestly, it's something that keeps me motivated and really helps me. And one thing I want to mention for me personally, I don't usually like to choose food rewards because in the past, that was just a negative cycle I would get into, rewarding myself with food, and just, it became a really negative mindset for me. So that's something I don't like to do. I like to just find non-food items as my little rewards throughout the time. But if that's something you want to do, you can also do it. It's just what works best for me and what works best for you. Okay, the next tip is something that I also kind of struggle with sometimes, but I've gotten better, and it's these little habits that really do make a difference. A lot of the time I will be sitting on my phone and like not want to do something like get up and grab my water, or even when I go to the store, I used to always just like park right at the front. Thinking these things through, thinking my goals through when I'm doing things and like kind of connecting them to just do that extra little bit to make a difference really helps. What I mean by that is when I go to a grocery store, I park far away away so that I have to walk a little bit further. It helps me to get my steps in. And honestly, when I'm doing it, I don't even really notice that it's that much more work. What seems to be more work is just like thinking it through and actually getting myself to just do the action. So like I said, when I'm sitting on the couch and my water's in the other room and I know I need to keep drinking it, but I just don't want to get up, in that moment, I really just have to think it through like, okay, this is for my future. I just need to get up and get my water, and I do. And I know this sounds so little, but really it does keep me motivated to just think it through in my head, what I want, what my goals are, and how those little actions really do add up to big results. And even sometimes at night, like I know that I'm not gonna get as good of sleep if I'm sitting on my phone scrolling through Instagram right before I close my eyes to go to bed. Something I've really been working on lately is putting my phone down 30 minutes before and trying not to just sit and scroll right before I'm laying down. And it's honestly hard, and I don't even like admitting that it's hard, but it is sometimes to do that. And I just have to remind myself in the moment that this is for the better, and this is gonna make me feel better, this is gonna benefit me more, this is what I want with my future goals. I just have to kind of think it through in the moment and choose the harder thing, even if it's not that hard. Like I said, parking further is really not that hard, but making the choice to do it, I feel like, is the hard part. Doing those little things and keeping that in mind really does keep me motivated. When I do it, I feel better. It doesn't even seem like it's that much extra work to have done the thing that I did. And another thing that really helps me in these moments is kind of having some positive reinforcement. So sometimes I even just like thank myself in the future. Like even when it comes to like ingredient prep or something and I don't want to do it, and I know I have peppers in the fridge that are going to go bad if I don't make it, but I finally just get up, I make it, and I'm happy that it's done. And then I kind of thank myself, even just like in my head or sometimes even out loud, I'll just thank myself for doing that, because now I just set myself up for success. And it's kind of just like positive reinforcement. It helps my mindset be more positive and motivated and just feel like I'm on the right path. Just doing the hard thing in the moment and making the choice to actually do it, even if it's something so little, those small things and small habits really do add up to huge results. And I've learned that throughout my journey because I've just stayed consistent with them. I've never done extremes. I've never had to go over the top with my workouts and food and restrictions and all those things. I really focus on balance. And sometimes those little habits really help to keep me on track. And then speaking of ingredient prep, the next thing that I want to mention to stay motivated is set yourself up for success. Ingredient prepping is a huge way that I do this. I prep my ingredients ahead of time, whether it's like a veggie mix, 2 ingredient dough bagels, making a batch of jasmine rice, making air pop popcorn, making things in batches so that they're ready. Sometimes even when I make a meal, I double it up so that we have leftover portions, and just planning ahead in that way, setting myself up for success. Even me keeping it simple in the kitchen, I in the past would always struggle. I love cooking, but like I would see meal prep ideas or like big recipes that had a bunch of ingredients and I just never stuck to them. I'd get overwhelmed and just quit, and it made me lack so much motivation. Even when it comes to getting ready in the morning for the gym, I struggle in the morning so much. So laying my gym clothes out is so helpful for me, and just really keeping things simple makes it a little bit easier to stay motivated and not overwhelmed, not burnt out, like I said. So setting yourself up for success really makes a difference. And it just makes it so much more realistic and attainable for me when I do those things. The last thing I want to mention when it comes to being motivated throughout your weight loss and maintenance journey is manifesting what you want your life to be. And this is something that I did so much more throughout my weight loss, and I wish that I did it more now because it really was a positive, helpful thing for me. I feel like I did more journaling in the beginning, and now I just do it more like in my head with the manifesting, but I do think writing it down helps. And that's just envisioning yourself where you want to be. When I was starting my weight loss journey, would write down where I wanted to be, and I would kind of write it as if I was already there. I would say like, I wake up in the morning and this, like all the things that I wanted it to be. And that's actually the life that I'm living now. The life that I was manifesting 5 years ago, I have actually created for myself. And a big part of it was because every single day I pictured myself in that spot and doing the things that I wanted to be doing. And now I am doing those things. Of course, it takes the work. I'm not saying that writing it down makes them happen, but when you write them down, when you think about them, when you talk about them, when you make those things your real life, they do become it because your actions start to follow and you really start to live this life that you're visualizing for yourself. So I think that that's so huge when you're lacking motivation or you need a little push to get through, is think about where you want to be and picture yourself and the habits you would be doing in that life. Start to do those things. And that's really what I did. And it just became my lifestyle, and it became easier and easier to stick to and stay consistent with every single day because I enjoyed it. You can journal if you want, but really just visualizing where you want to be, what type of person you want to be, what type of habits you want to stick to, and all of those things can really make them become a reality because it makes you start to put those things into action. Anyway, that's the last thing that I have about staying motivated on a weight loss and maintenance journey. I've learned so much throughout the years about how to just keep myself going, and there have definitely been ups and downs, but these are just some of the things that really keep me sticking to it. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.